Glad to see everyone here today. My name is Michael Wheeler. I am the originator, designer, and director of Roof Asset Management. A little biohistory. I've been doing roofing stuff for over 40 years. I grew up in a family business. Roof asset management, inspections, evaluations for more than 27 years. And at the last calculation, at least 150 million square feet worth more than $1 billion. That has been my experience, and today what we're talking about is really my view on roof asset management. So our program is called RoofNet, and it combines several different aspects. Obvious point is it's a software component that's a tool that we use in order to collect, document, and report the information. But then there's obviously the inspection component and evaluating the roof and the whole plan about how to do it effectively to make it work for your roofing asset. So the topics that we're going to cover today are roof asset management, customer perceptions of reality, marketing, co-op purchasing. We may talk briefly about our use in asset management with drones. But the point would be is our focus really is on roof asset management. Roof asset management, who we are, Teamcraft Roofing. Our program that we use is called RoofNet. That's not just software, that's really our whole program or plan. Why we do it? Because your roof asset is a whole lot of money, and it's really there for to help you to manage a very large dollar asset. And then how we do it is with our RoofNet survey, analysis, recommendations, evaluation. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. One illustration is that people only see what they're prepared to see. So I'm trying to get everyone to think through that we're talking about something that's a little bit different than most people look at their roofs. So here's the illustration. I always ask, okay, both of these squares that are in the middle of the screen, are they the same color or are they a different color? So the whole point is now take your finger and put it right across the center line where the two squares meet as you're looking at the slide or the screen, and you'll see that actually they're the same color. It's an optical illusion. So there's a quote that I like to use that's by Steve Jobs. The customer never knows what they want until we show them. And Steve would talk a lot about the fact that he got given a hard time about doing projections for Apple. And the main point is he's trying to explain to everybody, how can you do a projection over a new product that you're going to introduce that's going to create a market and people don't even know about it yet. And so the whole point is that's actually part of what we're doing. We're talking a little bit about roof asset management and something different than what everybody's used to. Glad to see everyone here today. My name is Michael Wheeler. I am the originator, designer, and director of Roof Asset Management. So the whole idea, most everybody does some version, although I'm sure you have some customers who even shy away from that so much. But also, how many do actually do roof asset management? Not very many, which is the point. So let's define asset management. Something of value, a useful and desirable thing or quality. Items of ownership convertible to cash. So the reverse, it's something that's paid for with cash. So you should look at it as its equivalent value. So that asset very often doesn't get treated the same way if you were to have something of the same value that allows you to kind of get a correct view or picture of how you should take care of it. Very often the roof is just out of sight, it's out of mind, and nobody pays any attention to it until it leaks. So let's talk about defining asset management. Here's what you have on your roof. Really, it's just a bunch of money. In some fashion, it's the value of whatever you spent on that asset that's on the top of your building, which, by the way, has a greater impact on the function of that building than anything else after it's built, with the exception of structural failure. So we'll go back to the idea. Let's talk about asset management. It's a whole systematic approach of how you deploy and how you manage that asset. So that's our goal. What's the most common idea is when we start talking about asset management, you think of a financial asset manager. Well, that's still pretty parallel because we're talking about that your roof has a certain dollar value. So what's the difference between maintenance, asset management? What is our approach? Do we do them the same way? Is it the same thing? And my answer is no, and I'll illustrate it with this. With this Bugatti at $1.9 million, that's asset management. With this Cabriolet that's $18,000, you approach it really from a maintenance standpoint. Very, very significant difference between the two. You do not take care of both in exactly the same way at all because of the value, not only for its drivability, but just the value of the car itself. So, an interesting point. Typical depreciation for tax purposes for a capital asset is 39 years. The whole problem comes up is that most roofs don't last that long. So you're depreciating something in a shorter period of time and net spending more money. But an illustration of that is Drucker back in 2003 did a study on all of their managed properties and came up with the fact that their roofs only lasted an average of 17 years. I would say that's a shame because any decent roof should last beyond 17 years. So those are just points to consider, but the question really comes back to what if you manage it correctly? What does that do to your value, to your bottom line, and to your asset usage? What's the customer looking for? The roof to last longer. But then they're also really looking realistically to not have any leaks. Those are obviously anybody's hot button. So what's the difference in perspective? The owner thinks, stop the leaks and make the roof last longer. But very often, from a contractor's perspective, the average view is along the line of getting more business, sales, more repair work, and your net result is you have a difference in perspective where you're not actually meeting the customer's expectations. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit on the asset management side, because you have an asset worth a lot of money. So a customer's finally convinced that they spent a lot of money on their roof and they're thinking about it. So they're recognizing that fact. It's worth a lot of money. So you do the maintenance in the typical fashion that most people do. Then you paid some money to get started and you continue to pay for regular maintenance as time goes along every year. You still have leaks along the way, and you still pay some more to have those leaks repaired. And they call and say, well, why isn't the plan working? Well, my first response is that the plan's not working because there really wasn't a plan. So, in realistic terms, from an NRCA study and the American Institute of Plant Engineers, that if you properly maintain any good, decent, applied roof system, that you can extend the useful life with proper maintenance and repairs from 30 to 100% longer on its expected useful life. So we talked about customer expectations and what the difference is between what we might be doing as a contractor and what the customer thinks we're doing. So let's talk about that briefly. Do our customers actually understand what we are doing or what we are not doing? And then from the other perspective, do you believe that you match, that you're doing what your customer is expecting? So that's a good question to ask really all the time. Key asset management, keys to success. The initial inspection is the make or break point of a really quality, good evaluation of a roof asset. Qualified inspector, it can't just be anybody because you have to know what you're looking for. The evaluation of the conditions kind of come down to, okay, what are the options? What can you do? Is it too late? You do a report that simply is conveying the information. It's explaining what was found, what the condition is currently, and whether or not something can be done to extend the useful life. It gives you the options or the choices about how do you accomplish this goal of keeping the roof that you have. You want the information obviously to be good and accurate, because the whole point is the more accurate the information and the options, the better it is for you to be able to make a good decision about where to go from here. Last very important component is the warranty service contract, or the leak-free warranty. If we do a plan and it's a good plan and you trust us, that's great, but we back it up by giving you a leak-free warranty to go along and continue to do the maintenance that the roof needs. So, advantages of roof asset management. So these are just some of the basic key points that help you to kind of start to place the value in roof asset management. The detailed report, you get a complete portfolio overview of the roofs that you have, their conditions, where they need to go, what your budget might be in the future, those kind of things. A single source responsibility, so you can come to us in RoofNet to determine what's there, what needs to be addressed, what is going forward, what are the best choices, what are the alternatives that you do have. Real-time information, it's all online, budgets, forecasting, extend the life, useful life of the roof, and not only track but defer those big-time capital expenses for replacing the roof to a planned out expenditure. So some benefits, you're up to date, you know what's going on, better decisions and more information, reducing your expenditures, put off that capital money. But realistically, by what we're doing, you get a 200 to 300% return on your money. Who's going to turn that down? So, and then last but not least, you get the leak-free warranty service if it's a real plan. So asset management and maintenance, the whole point is it's problem solving, it's management of your roofs, extending the roof life, a whole warranty compliance plan, because most people are unaware of the fact that a manufacturer's warranty has a requirement that you do ongoing maintenance, even if it's minimal, and it has to be documented. The whole point is that you could void your warranty if you're not doing it. The whole yearly budget forecasting is now under control. You can look ahead and know where you are going to be and where the expenditures are going to have to come. And then all of it's online. You get a very high return on your investment, and you get the leak-free warranty service contract. So let's talk about an example. This is a technology business that is in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina, and started taking care of it 10 or more years ago. And at the time, it was 19 years old, is in pretty good shape, 38,000 square feet approximately. Replacement cost is $450 plus or minus. And then, so from years 1 to 9, they spent $34,800. And over the past 16 years, the total cost was $40,000. So they spent a little bit more. Okay, so even just looking at that, you get a pretty good idea that it was well worth it. But let's look further. So here's the construction. Then we have some views of the roof before it was repaired. So it wasn't in terrible shape, but it had some weaknesses. The flashings at the walls, the metal on the coping, lots of little detail things that were deteriorating. pitch pockets that were poorly sealed and not protected. So they're repaired. The coping, a heavy gauge aluminum, was moving and all the joints were coming open all the time. So the net result is it was repaired. So another example, a golf resort in Arizona, typical Western construction that has a modified cap sheet. It was approximately 15 years old at the time. The replacement value was almost $400, and we determined that it would be effective to do a coating system application on the roof. So here's the basic construction. And here are some overview shots of what the roof looked like. From this view, it doesn't really look too bad, but when you look closer, you begin to see the various repair work that's been done. You see how worn the cap sheet has been. And then you see this other roof cement everywhere where they've been trying to doctor it up to take care of leaks, which obviously is getting more and more extensive because they're having problems. So we started doing the repair work first, obviously, and then continued to work our way through that up into the point of getting the complete coating installation done. They're in good shape for 10, 15 more years, even out in Arizona. Lots of good. So the key concepts is that who are we talking about dealing with? So it would be anybody who has a roof asset. That's enough money that they should care about it. And that's most everybody. Why? Is because it's worth a lot of money. And so are you going to just let it go down the drain? Or are you going to actually spend a little bit of money to maintain it in order to make your investment even more valuable? So, and how we do that is with RoofNet and a plan with us, Team Craft Roofing. So the two general rules of thumb that I try to get everyone to just understand basically. Number one, if you can repair or repair a roof for 35% or less of the replacement cost, and if, number two, if by doing those repairs, you can extend the useful life a minimum of 5 years, then it's going to be worth it. It's a provable return on your investment. Anybody, you can prove it to anyone, you can prove it to an accountant, to the owner, to anyone, you can prove it to anybody because it meets all the criteria to get 200 up to possibly as much as 3,000% return on your money. So it's really that simple. If you can do those two things, and I would also just interject, and you get the leak-free warranty service contract and continue doing the maintenance that's needed, it will work. And it is provable even from a financial point of view. So, on the whole idea about customer expectations versus reality, we talked a little bit about that. There are two levels that a customer has. Their desired result and a sufficient result. Of course, we're not talking about that if they're totally dissatisfied. We're talking about that we have done some level of satisfaction for them. So the whole point, if it's their desired result, then we're meeting their expectations. If it is just sufficient and they're just settling, they're accepting it, then maybe we have a breakdown at that point of what their expectation was versus what we're doing. And the whole point would be, when we are exceeding their expectations, then they're always going to be having the desired result that they were looking for. So we're going to take just a little change up here, a little pause. And what I'd like to do is introduce Jason Santor, our service director. And he's going to continue and talk with you about a few more components in our presentation.
Like Michael said, my name is Jason Santor. I manage the maintenance and service division for Team Craft Roofing. I've been with Team Craft Roofing for 11 years. I have 26 years of commercial roofing experience. One of the tools that we utilize to provide our customers with information is Rufus. This notifies the appropriate parties when we're dispatched on a work order, when a work order is complete. It also provides daily reports on any contract work that we be doing on any of their facilities. And we also have a customer portal where the customer can actually go in and dispatch us to repair leaks on their facility. The customer experience is something we work hard on. Our goal is for the customer to rely on our expertise in commercial roofing to provide them with the best long-term solutions to take care of their facilities. The entire purpose behind roof asset management is that our actions exceed our customers' expectations.
As Jason was saying, as we're talking about or trying to illustrate a little bit about customer expectations versus reality, we stuck in a few names of competitors, maintenance, so-called kind of programs. And the whole point that we're trying to illustrate is that just by virtue of the names that they have used, it's steering the customer to a decision. So we have basic, preferred, premium, silver, gold, and platinum. So which one would you pick? The whole point is that simply by naming it preferred and gold, you've automatically steered your customers to making a choice. Our goal isn't to just try to steer the customer to making an inadvertent choice. We're trying to steer them toward making the best choice. And that's the goal of roof asset management.
When we provide our customer with an inspection survey report, our goal is to provide them with some photos of their roof and then also to determine some of their needs. So we'll show them some repairs that we found. We'll prioritize those repairs. We'll also provide them with pricing to execute the work. We can also provide our customers with time and material labor rates so that we can work around their not to exceeds. So why do we label it roof asset management? What we're trying to do is help customers understand that their roof is truly an asset. Their building's covered with real dollars. Our goal is to maximize the lifespan of that roof and so that they get the most value for the investment that they already have in place.
As we've continued through this presentation, talking about the contrast both with maintenance versus roof asset management, and also talking about meeting our customers' expectations, the whole point comes back to the same idea that we illustrated with the cars, and it's a change of perspective. Here is a BMW i8, a lot of money in a car. Great car, be one of my favorite cars. But the whole point is what does that have to do with asset management? This is what it has to do with asset management. The whole point is that's what's on your roof, money. How do you change your perspective about how you treat it? By treating or by changing your perspective about how you look at your roof. That's the point. So let's do it this way. Up on that roof, we have 4.5 BMW i8s. Would that change the way you treat that roof? Because now you recognize that that's what's there versus just what you thought is, well, it's just the roof and you don't really pay any attention to it. And how you manage it. Would that make a difference in how you manage it? We've made the case all through this presentation that the answer is yes. It would make a difference is how you manage the roof. So roofs are assets. And what are we doing as managing them in a good way? We're improving the life cycle cost. So the longer it lasts, the lower the cost goes per year, which is life cycle cost. That's the whole point about that we're being proactive. The whole annual inspections, semi-annual inspections, whatever the case, whatever it is you need for your roofing asset to maintain it, planning and having your budget to be a long-range plan that also is going the right way where you're spending the money in the right places. So by doing the asset level type of information, you can also track your results. You see how well it's done as far as less leaks, how long the roof has lasted, but you also track, you can keep up with other things like what other collateral damage was there, and you can prove the results of your plan and its effectiveness by tracking those results. How do we market the plan? The whole point is what we're doing is something different. We do something different than what other contractors do. They're doing some things that sometimes, as we saw in those descriptions, that may sound similar or may even look similar. But yet the point is that they are not the same, or they're not meeting their customers' expectations, and that's what we want to do. The whole point is that we back up the evaluation and plan, we separately inspect it on our own. We have experienced, qualified inspectors who do those things. We continue to help you to maintain your asset. And the whole goal, again, as we look back on it, is you're getting a really good return on your investment. So who are the people that we might market to? Our existing customers, the people who already are working with us, obvious choices. Then we can talk about just new customers that we do something different and they want to see something different because they've had the same old with their existing contractor. And then we can talk about it could happen as every roofing project that we do, because every new roof that has a manufacturer's warranty, in order to keep from voiding that warranty, it requires maintenance. And it requires documented maintenance, which is something that you have to provide. And most manufacturers aren't looking to hang you out to dry. But when the expense goes up for them to make good on their warranty, they're going to look at those things. So the whole point is be in compliance with the things that they require. And then lastly, if you're doing that and we've got it all online, then you know that you're covered and you've maximized your investment. Remember the quote from Steve Jobs: the customer doesn't know what they want until we tell them, till we show them, until we explain to them what it could actually be versus maybe what they've gotten in the past. Where we can exceed their expectations by explaining to them how it really can be and how their roof can really be maintained as an asset. So here's a real life example. Granville County Schools in North Carolina. 17 schools. We started in 2016 putting together a roof asset management plan for them. So the whole point is they wanted a plan. They had tried to do it before and were unsuccessful. They had wasted a lot of money. And now they wanted to get something that they thought would actually really work. Not only to minimize their problems, but also to realistically spend their money in the right places and not throw away a bunch of money that really ended up not serving them very well. So here are the results. In that same 18-month time frame, they spent $486,000 to help get all of this into process. Is that all they need to spend? No. But it steered the money in the appropriate places that were the highest priority that they needed, where it was needed most. The whole point really comes down to is that they had been going based upon what a manufacturer or someone else had been recommended to them, and without consideration of really evaluating where is it needed. So then the other thing is that was an average of $27,000 a month that was generated by us helping them to make the right choices. So then what do we do now? How do we advise them now? Well, it's because their future looks like for all of their schools, they need $1.9 million worth of work to save what they have. Well, you think, well, that's a lot of money. Well, it is, but we're talking about saving $7 million worth of roofing. But even then, over the next 5 years, they need another $4 to $5 million to catch up with the 7 or 8 years that they are behind with actually maintaining their assets. So we're helping them put that plan together and line it up for that to happen. Little side marketing point that we try to put in to talk about, particularly when we're talking about schools, is the purchasing co-ops. Because one of the main points that comes up when we work a plan for either a school system, a state or government entity, a local municipality, a county, anybody who has typical type of bid requirements, is that they look at this plan and say, yes, this is what we want to do, but how in the world are we going to bid this or get multiple bids on this? And so we can help them in a lot of ways, but one of the ways to help them to do what they really want to do and save money is that we can use the TCPN or the APA co-op. And basically those are purchasing co-ops, cooperative purchasing, where people have joined together, and it's a national contract that we have maintained for quite a number of years. And the whole point is that it meets all their bid criteria. It meets their minimum requirement for at least 3 bidders. It was competitively bid. All the typical requirements that normally someone's looking for, it meets it in the TCPN, IPA, AEPA purchasing co-op. It allows us to do those things. It allows them to save something in the neighborhood of 7 to 9% across the board on what they're doing. And it cuts the time factors down for being able to do things to weeks instead of half a year or even a year to just get those things together and accomplished. So who can use it? K through 12, housing authorities, nonprofits, public colleges and universities, state and local governments, really all government entities, anybody who has those kind of bidding requirements that they want to meet in order to do the work that they do. What are some of the benefits? You save time and money. You save overall on the whole project both time and money. So there's no downside on that regard, in that regard. And it's a quick turnaround, and the whole RFP or request for proposal process is simplified and shortened drastically. So the last thing that we talked about a little bit was the use of drones in asset management. And the whole point is that small, unmanned aerial craft or aircraft are very useful for inspecting things. They're very useful for inspecting very difficult access areas. They're useful in inspecting or getting photographs or video of problem areas that are very difficult to access or that otherwise might require a crane or a man lift or something of that nature for you to be able to even get a close look at. And on top of everything else, it's even safer because now you don't have to have a person very often on those difficult areas that either are very high or do not have any fall safety protection. And so our goal with using the drones is to use them as just another one of our tools in that ability to correctly evaluate, inspect, and identify problems. They're very useful. We can use them for doing infrared scans. We can do them for taking photographs of all sorts of problems, whether it be wall problems, roof problems, difficult to find roof leaks. Sometimes we can utilize them there. The whole point is there another tool in our tool belt that allows us to make good and efficient use to give the customer what is really happening, but mostly to meet our customers' expectations in stopping their leaks and helping them to make the right choices.
For more information, visit our website.